Well, hello and welcome back to the LHI Group podcast In Those Shoes. I'm Melissa Reid and today I'm joined by the lovely Greg. Greg is our head of
Hello.
perm, engineering and architecture within Lawrence Harvey and my fellow Scottish counterpart, which I'm delighted with. Greg, do you want to give us a bit of an introduction to yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on first off,
So
Melissa.
welcome, delighted to have
Um,
you.
thank you. Yeah, I'm Greg McCrudden, head of engineering and architecture in Berlin. Obviously not from Berlin, but from Scotland originally, like Melissa. Um, Moved to London 3 years ago now, I think. It's
Mhm.
crazy.
I know, it goes
And that's when I
fast.
got into recruitment, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But yeah, so living in Berlin now, been here for 14, 15 months, start of last year.
It's gone by
Sort
so
of,
quickly,
I
14,
know,
15 months already.
I know, tell me about it. It's
It's
always
been,
like a strange period because I like count, I don't know why I don't just say like 18 months
I
or
know,
12 months, but
yeah.
yeah, I like to say 14, 15
Yeah,
to be exact.
specifics.
Not that I'm counting.
Yeah. Amazing. And I think it's always great, like you mentioned, to go back to the beginning and talk us through your journey with even finding recruitment and coming into the business. So
Hmm.
I guess what you just touched on there, how did you get into recruitment and what was your entry point to LHI like?
I'm laughing already because it's not, I would love to say it's a glorious
Yeah.
story, but probably like a lot of people, I fell into it
Yeah.
because I actually had a friend, and he still works for the company, Tom Cooper.
Tom Cooper.
Um, he is actually in Miami now.
Yeah. Living the
Hopefully,
dream. Very
yeah,
jealous.
hopefully it's raining there today.
Yeah.
But yeah, so him and I actually lived in America together, and he'd moved down to London already and had started with LHI and was maybe 4 months in. He phoned me up telling me he thinks I'd be quite good at it, blah blah blah. And then about 5 months later, once I'd started, I then realized that he got a referral fee.
Yeah.
So
I
that is how I got
remember,
started. But
yeah, I remember him because I think, yeah, he referred you over to us.
yeah,
And I was like, what do you like about him? And you guys had very similar backgrounds. We're like, well, if Tom's smashing it, we're sure Greg will too. And he wasn't wrong.
well, yeah, he got lucky. But
I
yeah,
know.
that's how I. And to be honest with you, obviously, I did interview with you, um, and it like I was sold on that side of it. But in terms of how I was actually introduced to recruitment, it was through Tom.
Tom. Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
what was your entry to LHI like? How did you find that, like the onboarding side of things and all that stuff going forward?
yeah, it was good. I think I actually, again, you'll remember as well, but I
Yeah.
started in Scotland.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I was remote for only a couple months, and I did
Mhm.
obviously the whole time intend on moving to London, which I think I thought would be straightforward, but moving to London is never straightforward, right? In
Oh.
terms of finding somewhere to live.
I'm sure I
Um,
gave you the recommendation of like my dodgy van man, didn't I?
yeah,
I was
you
like, this guy's
did.
super cheap. Go with him.
Yeah, you did. He was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was good. I think the excitement, in all honesty, of like moving to London and then starting a new job and meeting all of these people was amazing because it wasn't then just moving into a new job. Like I was then
Yeah.
also going, down the other end of the country with,
Yeah.
and then obviously moving closer to my friends because obviously Tom, I knew others from my time in
Of course.
America,
Yeah.
and it was post COVID. So it was like I was so excited. And then I remember like the first week being in the office, I was like, wow, like, because you start remotely, it was amazing still. Like obviously the conversations I had and the onboarding was great, the training was great, but it was still remote, which I'm
Yeah.
sure everyone would agree was challenging at
Yeah.
times. So then when I walked into a recruitment office for the first time in the big city of London, I was amazed. I loved it. I loved just the sort of um environment, and the vibes in there were great.
Yeah, I can imagine it's very different to being remote. I forgot you worked remotely with us
Yeah,
initially. Got you
yeah,
down
yeah. It's
eventually.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you were obviously with us in London for around 2 years, I think it was, joining us as a
Yeah.
graduate before making the move then to Berlin.
Hmm.
Obviously would love to touch on that and get to know a bit more around that side of things. So
Hmm.
what made you decide to make the move to Berlin? What was going on? How did it come about? What pushed you to do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's very unique in the sense of how it came about. And I think it wasn't, I am very open to new challenges. And I
Yeah.
think, I think everyone is at the same time. But I think because I've lived in a lot of different places, that part wasn't
Mm.
like scary. I
Yeah.
think if I'd lived in London for 8 years, worked at LHI for 5 years, and then the proposal of Berlin was on my desk, I'd be a bit like, oh, but you know,
Yeah.
and I was loving London, but I was probably in the mindset where I could have a new challenge. And then it was more kind of brought forward to me in a sense of kind of where Berlin's going and what the opportunity there would be.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was exciting. I think because the challenge was good timing, because then I could step into something that was a startup as such,
Yeah.
because the office was smaller, but then I
Yeah.
already, I've got a great understanding of what LHI is about. So
Yeah.
it's been exciting to see both sides of that, which again I know we'll touch on. But yeah, I
Hmm.
think the opportunity kind of was brought forward from LHI, and then obviously discussed with myself, and then yeah, we kind of went from there, I
I
guess.
know. And I guess it must have made it a bit of an easier transition because also you're moving with people like you knew Steve, you knew Katie, there was people in
Yeah.
the business you were already had relationships with. And I think that always makes a move a lot less daunting, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And that I always say that to Steve.
Mm.
Try not to give him too many compliments, but like
Yeah.
and a lot of the, I mean, everyone in the business, Ben, Jim, all of them have moved, right? And
Yeah.
I do take my hat off to people that move maybe without
Yeah.
someone, if you like. It's
Hmm.
not
Yeah,
as serious as
totally.
that, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean, in the sense of maybe moving there with just their partner and no other colleagues and friends. And I think that takes a serious amount of bravery. And what Steve's done here to theoretically come out by himself,
Yeah.
um, albeit obviously with Leah as well. But in terms of a working environment, he was kind of starting something from scratch and leaving all of his
Yeah,
friends behind in London. That side of it's daunting. Whereas for me, I
definitely.
I had multiple conversations with Steve, who
Yeah.
was already here and had set some amazing things up already, where we had a lot of similarities. Not football
Yeah.
though, but
Yeah.
yeah, we
I've seen
still
you
get a
guys have
few.
been doing like your morning runs and things like that. You're
Yeah,
both training for marathons, aren't you? So it's good to
yeah,
have that in the team.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And but no, yeah, again, it's been there's obviously challenges, but in terms of
Yeah.
when you make a move, it's so much easier when you've got a foundation, work
Hmm.
and friends, etc.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess in terms of moving to Berlin, it's a totally different culture to London, even in terms of like office culture, the market you're working, the culture of Berlin as a city as opposed to
Mhm.
London. I would love to know like your pits and peaks or what you found really challenging, what you've been surprised by, I guess. I mean,
Mhm.
did you have expectations? I'd love you to talk me through that.
Yeah, I think to separate that into two.
Yeah.
So to go maybe work first, and then
Hmm.
obviously we'll touch on maybe the personal side of Berlin.
Yeah.
But in a working way, it did take a while to adjust to it. And I think anyone that would jump on here and say that it's the same as a UK market
Yeah.
would be lying to
Yeah.
you. So
Yeah.
it took a lot of time to get used to it. It took a long time to adjust to the simple things as well as
Yeah.
the more detailed things where the German market's a bit different. But
Mm.
I think the challenges at first were probably the what a lot of people would have in a startup office and what people would have with
Yeah.
a startup brand or a startup team, where you are trying to grow something, and it's difficult to stay just simply focused on one area of what you're trying to
Yeah.
grow. And I probably put too much expectations and pressure on myself.
Mm.
But again, we're in a good spot now where we are growing the perm team, and
Yeah.
we're had a good start to the year, and it's exciting, and probably comes off the back of a 12-month slog where it was
Yeah.
it was challenging, but in a good way.
Definitely.
I learned
Yeah.
so much work wise. I was probably dealt with a lot of difficult scenarios that I would never have learned if
Of course.
I had made. And I know it sounds cliche, but everyone I spoke to was like, it'll make you, a
Yeah.
better person, not even just a better recruiter or a better
Yeah.
manager, but a better person. And it did, because there was times where you would get in there finally, and you think that you've built something, and then you'd get a few more setbacks, and it
Yeah.
pushes you. But again, everyone's probably been there, right? Like in your
Yeah.
first 6 months when you start the job, or
Hmm.
when you first try and build a new space, it's challenging. So yeah, from a work point of view, it was amazing to see how different it is as well,
Yeah. I was gonna
because
say, tell me more.
yeah, my job in London to my job in Berlin is so
Hmm.
different, which is great.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point though, right? Like
Yeah.
why would you
The
move
same
here
thing.
to
Yeah.
do the same thing?
Yeah.
So similar market, but so different.
Yeah. Talk us through why that is. Is it talk us through, I guess.
I think obviously same technologies and all
Yeah.
that stuff, and I won't bore you with the details of that, but in terms of like how you have to handle processes is very different. I think it's the respect. If you earn people's respect here, it goes a long way. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that's not the case in the UK.
No,
I
of
just think that
course.
it's very professional here too, and I
Yeah.
think I'm very like pally and want to be
Yeah.
everyone's mate. Whereas I remember I called a German candidate mate mate
Oh
for the
no.
first time, and he's like, "Don't call me that again."
Oh no, really?
Yeah, but it was just me getting
Yeah,
adjusted
of
to it, right?
course.
And of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
those details don't make or break a
Yeah.
market for you. But it was
You're like
just,
boundaries.
yeah. I was like, whoops,
Yeah.
won't do that again.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, just like the smaller other things, like learning notice periods and
Totally.
3 months end of quarters and things like that. I'm just like, whoa,
Yeah.
how does that work? And then and then the attention to detail when it comes to like
Yeah.
a business development standpoint where the approach has to be different. But how do you learn that unless and I spoke to a lot of people who helped, like Dan Lambert, who's done the
Mm,
German market for a
yeah.
while, albeit it's obviously maybe more SAP focused, but he helped me a lot to make me understand the differences. Dan Perkins as well was
Hmm.
great with me because Steve is obviously brilliant at what he does, but very contract heavy
Yeah.
office, and again, obviously coming in as that standalone perm person, I had to use other people to understand why
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
marketing wasn't working, or why
Yeah.
my certain approaches weren't working. So yeah, it took time to learn the differences.
Yeah, I was actually just going to ask you on that because I know that, like you mentioned there, Steve obviously came in as contract. You came in to that position with no one, I guess, above you, able to show you the ropes because you're doing it yourself. And I know that first 6 months in particular was quite difficult because obviously you're just getting used to a new way of living
Mhm.
and working and everything along those lines. What do you think it was for you that made the difference? Because you're obviously seeing a lot of success now, which we're all so happy about, and it's so great to see. But what do you think it was that you've done differently since that first 6 months to get you to where you are now? Because it's really
That's
impressive.
that's a good question, and I think it's not because I was actually talking to Steve about it, and it's not.
Yeah,
I don't think, and I'm sure again, I think a lot of people maybe had a little dip last year, right, in terms of what you'll hear. But I
yeah,
think also it wasn't like one thing that changed. It
mm,
wasn't like, oh, suddenly I changed the way I was
yeah,
marketing to
of course.
clients. It was probably a number of things that I had then gathered together from like 6 to 12 months last year, where it was like, okay, make sure you're implementing all of these details
Yeah,
when it comes to the whole recruitment life cycle,
yeah,
because maybe you start a process with a brand new client that you've never worked with, and then
mm,
you might miss something, and then it maybe takes 3 or 4 attempts to ensure that you're getting everything that they want. And
yeah,
at the same time, everything was new business and everything was like brand new clients that we
yeah,
were partnering with, that you have to work out what they all like, because it is still
totally.
individual based. So I
Yeah,
think it was more of like the learnings over that time. So maybe it
yeah,
was 10 to 12 different learnings that Steve and I gathered that we now think, okay, well, these need to be in play for us to be
hmm,
successful in a perm market. Because
yeah.
by the time I got here, they were getting good and almost perfect in the German
Oh,
contract market.
nice.
So then
Yeah.
Steve was like, okay, how do we do that for perm? And
Hmm.
yeah, him and I kind of went through it all together, of course. And then, yeah, to answer the question, it's more an accumulation of
Yeah.
10, 12 things that we've put
Just
together.
learning every detail as you
Yeah.
go. It must be so nice having Steve there and be able to go through it together. It's not like, well, obviously they've seen success, but it's nice you're all kind of on that same starting ground and building it as you go, because I imagine that
Yeah.
makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah. I
nice.
think I
Uh,
think I think he might not say the same after we spend probably
mm.
14 hours a day together
I
every
was
day.
gonna say you're gonna morph into one another soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What was I gonna ask? Tell us about the Berlin office. What's the
Yeah.
culture like there? It's one of our, probably if not the most like modern, it's amazing, the
Yeah,
office.
it's
Yeah, give
cool.
us some insight to what it looks
Yeah, I
like, what
think
it feels like.
obviously I mentioned in my earlier answer that I would split it up into personal and work,
Yes.
and I just kept
Mhm.
waffling about work, so I didn't get to
It's
the
fine.
personal
I
side
kept asking questions.
as
It's fine.
usual. I think that's like obviously work stuff's amazing, and I think now again, it's the same with personal life. It takes you so long to get settled. You'll
Yeah.
know when you move to London the first
Yeah.
time, right? You're just like, whoa, Berlin was just,
Overwhelm.
yeah, yeah, help. Um, but Berlin's great. Like
Yeah.
I think it really is. Like once you get the hang of it, it's such a well balanced city. And then
Nice.
when we moved out in February, albeit
Hmm.
we moved into this brand new office in March, so that was like it helped, if you know what I mean, because
Yeah.
they were still in that period where maybe I don't know what we were, 6 or 7 at the time, and kind
Yeah.
of going in between smaller offices, and then we kind of cemented our place in here, and it's brilliant. I mean, it was a brand new build, like gym in the office, which
Yeah.
these details aren't for everyone, but for me, they made
Yeah.
a huge difference, and to some people it does as well, right? Like the people we've hired recently, they love it because it helps with the environment and the culture here
Well,
because we
totally.
have it's
Yeah.
brand new offices, like I say, with cafe downstairs, sunlight bar upstairs, like little
It's
things like
very
that
cool.
that aren't for everyone. But I think it really does help a lot to kind of create something here because when we're welcoming new people, they're walking through the doors and already they're seeing a really really nice new office with all these
Yeah.
amazing sort of facilities. It does help, and then it kind of ties into what Berlin's like as a city, where it's very like welcoming and personal, and yeah, it's great.
Hmm. I think as well, it's such an easier way to have like a bit of a work-life balance. Like when you have all these amazing facilities you have access to, it just makes you enjoy being in the office a lot more, I guess.
Yeah,
Like it's never a bad thing, is it? It's always good to
yeah.
have that kind of stuff going on. Um, Amazing. Thanks for talking through that. I think it's very important and very exciting to learn about what's happening in Berlin because for those who don't know, Berlin is our second most recent office opening. So
Mhm.
it's really great to see how far they've come on basically since we have opened that time. You've gone on to achieve loads of amazing things. And obviously Steve being at the forefront of that and like leading you. And I want to come on to that a bit later, but I think it's
Mhm.
just really great to hear about it in a bit more detail. Coming on to that now, having gone through such a big move, and I know this is something we speak about a lot in the business around future you and younger you concepts. I imagine going through a transition like that, having people you can lean on and support is hugely important for
Mhm.
anyone. So for you, how do you feel like the younger you and future you concepts have supported you during your time, either when it was you first joined LHI, during your move at Berlin? It'd be great to get some insight to that.
Yeah, I think especially when, I mean, all the time that people are there to help you. And
Yeah.
I had a great sort of initial impression when I moved to London because, like I mentioned to you, when you walk into the office for this first time, and maybe I had been working remotely, and then you walk in and Jim's there, the
Mhm.
CEO, talking to everyone,
Yeah,
no matter what level, like it does have that as a
totally.
whole company, we have that, and it's amazing. And then when I moved, the amount of people that don't have to but went out of their way to offer help or support
Hmm.
or advice or anything that would maybe help in a small margin or a big
Yeah.
margin, like it was amazing. And I mean, again, all the way up to someone like Jim and Botty and people like that, where again they'd done it before, right? So that younger you and future you
Hmm.
aspect of people who'd done it 5 6 years ago, maybe more for some of them. um and then now it was my turn or Katie's turn or Steve's turn.
Hmm.
They do pass on that information. And
Yeah.
again, very open when it comes to the realistic things that are going to happen, not just
Yeah.
it's
Positive
they're
and
not
rainbows
just,
and
yeah, not
yeah.
just
Yeah.
selling,
Yeah.
something, which we do as recruiters, but very much also giving personal advice
Yeah.
away from maybe just like, well, if you do X amount of billings,
Yeah, of
you'll
course.
I think it was also having the personable touch where it was like, okay, I know I can talk to these people about also the personal side of,
Yeah.
uplifting from London to Berlin. So
Yeah.
I think
100%.
I think the company's got a great culture in that sense, but also realizing it when making that move, people don't like forget about you, and they want
Yeah.
to give you as much of what they've learned in their previous sort of adventures is amazing.
Yeah, I think as well, there's so many people in the business who have gone on those LHI
Mm,
adventures, as we call them, where they've been part of starting up new offices.
yeah,
Like you said, Tom's part of that Miami office opening now. So there is so many people you can lean on who have been in that situation before, who
yeah,
can then give you advice. And I just think it makes all the difference. And it's also, I think, really inspiring for other people coming into the business because they can see the good, the bad, the ugly, the great,
yeah,
and then still be
yeah,
motivated to it. Because I guess it shows as a business, you know, we've got that blueprint for success in a way where we've done it many other times before. You're a great example of how it can be so successful as well. So it's just
Mm.
good to show that. And I think it's also really interesting to get an understanding from you based on that. You know, you're going to be growing out your perm team as we've discussed. You know, your concept of younger you, when we talk about like leaving a legacy, that's something you'll be able to do now, having built up your perm market. All those fails and learnings you've taken from it will be gold to people coming into the
Yeah.
business because you'll be able to help them so much. So what legacy would you like to leave? And, you know, how would you like to support people coming into your team?
Yeah, that's such a good question.
Thanks.
I think from what I do like, and hopefully what I may be able to provide is just that
Mm,
even the making the move alone, right? Like I even think that alone, we're so fortunate as a company and
yeah,
as employees of the company where the ability to move is there
yeah,
for everyone, for
everyone. Yeah.
anyone, right?
Hmm.
But also still, although it's there for everyone, not everyone does it, of course, right? Because
Yeah.
of so many reasons, family, life, so many reasons. But at the same
Hmm.
time, being one of the people that has done the move, I hope that no matter the good, the bad, or no matter what
Hmm.
happens, I think just even just making the move and then being able to talk about it
Yeah.
is enough, hopefully, to pass on to people who then do it, right? Because
Yeah.
for me, the learning so much last year work wise was always going to happen, but then on the personal level as well, like what you learn when you make the move and the struggles and stuff, then being able to hopefully pass that on to someone,
Yeah.
like I say, because it was tricky, you know, it wasn't sunshine and rainbows all the time,
Yeah.
but had I not had people who'd made the move telling me about their struggles and being able to relate to people, and you know, I remember I had a call with Ben. It must have been 6 months in, and you
Yeah.
know, I wasn't probably having the best time, and then he reflected on a time when he moved to New York, and it was like, oh,
Hmm.
hang on a second, yeah, these people have been there as well. So
Yeah.
I hope that someone in a year's time goes on an adventure, and then six
Hmm.
months later they're like, right, can I speak to someone about, you know,
Yeah.
maybe the struggles, because you know, maybe they're feeling a bit lonely, or you know, work's
Yeah.
getting beaten up at
Definitely.
work like I was.
Yeah. No,
Not
definitely.
literally, don't worry. Um, and hopefully I can be even just again help someone 1%. I think is goes a long way.
I love that. And what do you want the future to look like for you? Do you have any goals or any vision for yourself or the team?
I want to, I think, just build something here that lasts
Yeah.
forever,
Hmm.
figuratively.
Hmm.
So that yeah, that's the mission I'm on at the moment, is to give people an opportunity to also build something with me, right? Like I
Hmm.
obviously hopefully will help create an amazing perm team here and
Yeah.
have a great reputation in the market and internally, externally. But at the same time, the people that are hopefully going to join us soon and help it grow will be equally as important as me, you know, just because
Yeah.
I've moved here, you know, who knows where I'll end up next.
I
And
know.
I would love for it to still be here, you know, when I'm not
Hmm.
here, and then just to have been a part of that with other people and grow it. And yeah,
I know.
that's what I'd love to leave behind.
Yeah, I think it's very cool to be part of something new and like putting
Yeah,
your stamp on it and bringing others in. I think that is the younger you and future you all in one, really, isn't it? So it's can't
yeah,
really miss it. Amazing. And as we know, this year's theme within the business is the year of the goose.
yeah.
2024 year of the goose. In your own words, what does that phrase mean to you?
I think, especially because of where we are, I think I can maybe relate that to Berlin as a
Yeah.
whole. But you know, startup office still. I think there's weeks where when you're a smaller office, you do need people to maybe drive
Yeah.
an energy in an office, or you need people to raise the positivity or the atmosphere, because it can happen, right? Like in a smaller office, if
Yeah.
something, a couple of people have a bad day and you know they're maybe feeling
That
a bit
energy
down, which
wears
is
off to everyone, doesn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Mhm.
we've seen it recently where we've added some amazing people that have just, you know, they're leading in ways that maybe Steve, myself, Katie aren't leading, you know, and
Mhm.
I think everyone's stepping up and being goosey because they
Being
can lead in
goosey.
different ways, you know,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
and I mean that I'm not saying that, you know, it doesn't mean that someone's there every morning adding 10 interviews a day. I think it's more that people are stepping up in the areas that they know that they can step up, right? Someone's turning the music off at
Yeah.
2:30 because people are feeling a bit flat. It's small details that, of course, might not think that they don't seem
Yeah.
huge, but at the same time, I think Berlin, as in that startup culture, has really got multiple geese stepping
Right.
up. I have to be careful with the plural terms of goose and geese here,
I know.
but we do, I think, and it's amazing. And I think we rely on each other as well. We're being very open about that in a
Yeah.
sense of maybe one week someone has to step up and be the goose. And yeah, and it's really good. So I hope that summarizes
It
how
does. Yeah.
Berlin attack the.
Perfectly. I think that's the whole point, right? It's not all dependent on one person to be leading the positivity, the activity, the office environment. It takes everyone to get involved and to make something really, really great. So I think that's a perfect example, and I really like that. Talking about culture, a lot of the conversations we have within TAs, what we realize is culture is hugely important for people when they're thinking about leaving a job, joining a job. It's where we spend all of our time. You're with your colleagues more than your family. And like we said, like you're in the office more than you're at home most of the time, working full time now. Obviously there's a bit of hybrid going on, but still you want to have a nice office culture and environment. At LHI, Jim Denning, our CEO, speaks a lot around having that stardust, and I guess that thing that makes us a bit different to other businesses. What do you think it is about? What would you say that stardust is, for example?
I think what's great about that, now that I've been lucky enough to work in two different offices, is that very different cultures from, I mean, in even simple terms of where the people are from, right? In our office
Yeah,
alone, we have Scottish, English, Irish.
yeah, Australian,
Uh,
American,
yeah,
everything.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean. And then over here, similar. We've got,
Mm.
so I think we've got maybe 6, 7 different
I know
nationalities.
you do actually, don't you?
Um,
Yeah.
Alessa's from Chile, Johnny's Ireland. We have, obviously we have more native Germans now as well, which is great. Christina's from Poland.
Is
I'm
Clara the only Berlin original?
She's originally from Leipzig, I believe
Oh,
Clara
yeah,
is.
so she is. Yeah, yeah,
But she says she's from Berlin.
yeah.
But yeah, so again, but at the same time, it's still, if you walk into the London office, has the same sort of
Yeah.
environment and
Just
culture that we.
languages everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
no,
yeah. Nobody
all these
understands anyone.
literally.
Yeah. But no, I
Yeah.
think we have a great ability as a company to kind of have this similar environment in every office where
Yeah.
everyone's striving for the same thing. And I think that the stardust obviously comes from the very top, right? But then
Mhm.
also the people that are joining the business, we're obviously, good work to you guys. We're obviously hiring people that also can bring that stardust, right?
Yeah.
Where the culture's not been impacted. I don't, we definitely hire cautious of that.
Yeah.
We obviously, um, and the additions we've had recently in Germany have just really, in all honesty, taken it to another level where the culture and environment just, it's so nice to be around. And
Yeah.
Steve especially will agree when he's grown from 4 or 5 last year to now 11,
Mhm.
12, doubling and hopefully going again. It's like those people are so important, and
Yeah.
we've got it bang on, and now that the place is, it's really excitable and everyone's
Coming
looking
into its
forward to
own.
coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the stardust question is difficult because it's hard to put your finger on why and how they create such an amazing culture. But I think it's to do with the people that are
Yeah.
hiring the amazing people and the people that
Yeah.
are leading them people, right? So
Yeah.
we're very fortunate.
Which kind of falls into our people first business, doesn't it? It's
Yeah,
like always about
exactly.
the people. That makes a lot of sense. Amazing. And I guess going back, if you could look back on your career, or even just, I guess Berlin, that's probably been, would you say Berlin, starting out in Berlin was tougher than starting out in recruitment in general? Or how
That's
would
a
you compare
great
them?
question.
Yeah. Thanks.
Um, that's a tough one, actually.
Yeah.
I would say Berlin was tougher, and again, this would be my advice probably to anyone if anyone ever does ask me, probably not, but um,
I'm about to, so
is
it's fine.
is that the Berlin was harder because I was starting something and I was experienced and I had seen
Mm,
some success in London, so the pressure I then put on myself was
yeah.
higher than what it was when I joined recruitment at first.
Yeah.
which I'm sure a lot of people would agree that
Yeah.
maybe that, if they've done 2 or 3 years and then they move again, that pressure they put on themselves would be much higher than the initial pressure.
Definitely.
You
Because
know,
you're used to
the
your targets and
yeah. You have the initial 5, 6 months of recruitment can be tough for anyone.
Hmm.
But then if you finally get a good hang of it and you're seeing really good rewards, and then you make a move again and it gets tough, then you're like, oh, hang on.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
yeah, the second voice starts creeping in.
Yeah. Oh God, I know that one.
Yeah.
And then I guess on that, what advice would you give yourself looking back now, coming into Berlin? What is one thing, I guess, that can apply to anyone coming into a new market, like you said, with experience, who's seen a lot of success and is making that move? What advice would you give to yourself?
I would be probably more realistic with your expectations. And then I did personally didn't put enough effort into the personal side of it as I
Yeah.
did the work side. So if work was tough, I wasn't also working hard at making an escape. Not that
Yeah.
people should want to escape, but I'm sure
Hmm.
you
Well,
understand
yeah,
that.
it's healthy to
Where,
have a break,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then so it was probably no coincidence that work started really picking up once I'd started playing football here and
Yeah.
was meeting different people and then was going out with them on the weekends. And
Hmm.
because I think, and Botti did say that to me as well, where it was almost like you have to work as just as hard at meeting people as you do at your job, because if not,
Yeah,
you're just going to be, battering one drum and kind of getting nowhere. So
definitely.
my advice to anyone would be to work just as hard at building a social network, if you like, not
Yeah.
just a
Work
work
network,
one. Yeah.
a LinkedIn network.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know, because I think it just becomes all consuming if you're just, and
yeah,
then work stresses become even bigger than what they are if you don't have that outlet. You know what I
yeah,
mean? If
yeah,
people to speak
exactly.
with, it makes a
Exactly.
massive
And
difference.
I struggled with that, yeah, because it was like 4 months in, it would be wake up, work, finish work, talk about work,
Yeah,
think about work,
stress.
which is it was, I had to obviously work hard to build
That's a
something, but it
startup,
was
isn't it?
just
Yeah.
when
Hmm.
that answer is probably more just about relocating, right? Like
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah.
you're also building outside of work.
Yeah. And how did you make that life for yourself outside of work? Because I know obviously you've got a really big background. You touched on it there in football. You did your
Yeah,
scholarship in America, didn't you? So
yeah,
you've done a lot of that while being in London too. So did you go on and find another football group? I know you've got Steve's partner there, your partner there.
yeah. I think
Yeah. So
can't believe it's taken me 40 minutes to get in the fact I went to America on a scholarship,
I
but
know.
gosh, so
We'll put it in now.
usually I get that in earlier.
Yeah.
No, to be honest with you, didn't make enough effort at the start, as I mentioned, and then I went on Facebook. I think it's the
Hmm.
first time I'd used Facebook in about 3 years, and I was like messaging all these people like, "Hi, can I
We be
come play?
friends.
Can I play football, please?" But that was it. Like I literally found the nearest team to me, just went along on a Tuesday night when they were training.
Nice.
None of them spoke well, they speak English, but the language used was German. That was like
Mhm.
so outside of comfort zone.
Yeah,
Like I think I'm quite brave and out there, but oof, I was so
I can
nervous, and it
imagine.
was just like the manager was doing a little talk in the changing room, and like had no
No
idea what
idea what
anyone
he's.
was saying. But fortunately, football went well, and I did actually like sign for the team.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, just met some really nice people, and then similar, like obviously Katie moved out here, and I think she threw herself out there with it's like a social group. I can't remember what it's
Yeah.
called. You'll have to ask her, and
Hmm.
maybe like Clique or something.
Yeah.
And it's just a group of girls that moved to the city and then meet for dinner and drinks.
Oh,
So they're all
nice.
in a similar situation. But if you don't go looking for these things,
You're
they
not
won't
gonna
find
find
you.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, like
100%
football team's not just going to knock on my door. A group of girls going for dinner aren't just going to see
come
you
find
walking in the
Katie.
street and shout at you. So
Totally, I
you
get
have to
you.
go looking for it, and it's a
Uh-huh.
bit awkward at first, but then it's like everything then falls into place. Like I had friends visiting last September, Tom and Ryan,
Yeah.
and I was a bit lost for what to do. So then I messaged someone on my football team, and he DJs and recommended like a
Oh,
day
nice.
festival that we went. But it's like, if you don't network, how are you ever gonna? And you would
Yeah,
never have found that day event, and we went, and it was one of the
totally.
best days I had last summer. So it
Yeah,
obviously shows you the importance of it.
it does. And do you feel like you've come on leaps and bounds professionally and personally? I guess just
Yeah,
in confidence, because like you've said, so out of your comfort zone, and that can be quite stressful because it's not like you're
yeah.
comfortable at work. And do you feel like that's made a big difference?
Well, I felt full of confidence until I had to do a podcast. Still shaking in my boots. Um, No, I definitely, yeah. And
Yeah.
again, you know, after maybe the initial months of struggle,
Mm.
when confidence goes down, you know, like
Yeah.
because I'm not then getting out there and meeting people, I'm trying to build the market and work's tough. You then start doubting yourself. So
Yeah.
once everything then kind of came together, you know, and I see the team building and Perm Berlin having a presence, and then social life's kicking in, and you're meeting people and you're doing things on the weekends, your
Yeah.
confidence is, you know, and
Kicks
it's the
off.
same for anyone. But yeah, absolutely. There's a direct link, you know, between work and the personal life.
Yeah.
There's no coincidence that work's picked up when,
Yeah.
you know, I'm probably
A
enjoying
happier,
Berlin more.
better,
Yeah,
yeah, better state of
absolutely.
mind, definitely. And what about the team? Do you guys do many socials? Do you have a run club? We know we love
Yeah,
a run
we
club at
do.
LHI.
We do have well, James was out last
Yeah, I
week
saw
or the
that.
week before, and we
Hmm.
went for a run in the morning. We do usually run on a Monday lunchtime, actually. I think
Nice.
it's a good way to escape a hangover if you're hungover on a Monday, which nobody should be. But um, yeah, we do a Monday little trot at lunchtime. And
Yeah,
often Johnny's been with us a couple times.
nice.
Clara said she's going to come next week, but she said that every week. So
I was thinking that.
I'm pushing her though.
Yeah.
And yeah, we do sort of a monthly. Christina's actually the social sec,
Oh,
so
nice.
and she's already organised some amazing sort of days and nights out. We went bowling, and
That's really cool.
again, so important when you're the size that we are, and growing
Yeah.
and growing, and yeah, I think again, people have kind of come in this year and had some really fresh ideas, and
Yeah.
it's so important, you know, that
Yeah.
because it's again it's different. But yeah, we've had some really good days out, and we do a team lunch every week where we go to.
Nice.
I like to say we go to different restaurants, but
I was gonna
it's
say
usually
you must have like all of you really like keen on trying new restaurants because it'll be so
yeah,
new to a lot of you. So
we
it's
still go to the same places all the time,
why do
all
we
the
do
time.
this? Same as London. I'm like, can you please find a new pub? I
Yeah.
don't understand. Like, why? It must
So
just be
no,
everyone, I think, every
yeah,
business.
we're terrible. But it's not,
Yeah.
again, it's not about where you eat, is it? It's more
No,
about
it's who
just
you're
getting out
with.
together,
Yeah.
exactly. And yeah, we're adding hopefully more and more things that we want to kind of keep consistent and sort of, you know, last, so that when
Yeah.
someone visits the office in 5 years, it's still in play, right? If people are
Yeah.
still doing a weekly team lunch, when we've done the right thing.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like it can only get better. It sounds like it's amazing already, which is really exciting to hear.
Yeah.
In terms of the EOT, we've got that hopefully shortly approaching us end of next year. What's going to be, this is a famous question we're asking everyone, basically. What are you going to be spending your money on?
Oh, oh,
I know.
I don't know. Probably. I mean, it'll be time. It depends what we do. That's the thing when you relocate to Berlin and you
Yeah.
are building a team and you are in a startup office, scale
Yeah.
up, and you're trying to grow everything. You know, I would like to say I'll be 30 by then, but don't tell anyone that.
Well, I'm 32.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that then.
I'm like,
Should
I
have
feel
read
great.
should have read the room a little bit. Good one.
Fine.
We'll cut that bit out, Jordan. You'll keep that bit in as
You
well.
will,
Um,
definitely.
so I think it'll be time to hopefully buy a house wherever that may
Hmm.
be.
Yeah.
So that'll be where.
What are you most excited about with the EOT? Is it like, because that's not so much financial freedom as such, because that's probably a really, really big way of describing it, but it
Yeah,
is like a massive bonus or like weight off shoulders for a lot of people.
yeah,
So I guess with that side of things, what are you most looking forward to about receiving the EOT or even being part of a business that offers an
yeah.
EOT?
You beat me to
Yeah.
it there, because that's exactly what I was about to say. Where it's it's not. Yeah, it's more to me, I think, because I was on the committee as well, and in all honesty, you know, it's such a privilege, and I think everyone knows that who works for LHI. But I
Hmm.
think when the sort of like gratitude as a company wide,
Yeah.
when it goes through and people are, you know, realizing that it's happened, I think to then actually be a part of that with everyone, you know, and everyone that you've worked with and everyone that you've met and, you know,
Yeah.
joined the company because of, and people like
Totally.
that who then you kind of get to experience that together. Now, nobody's going to shy away from the fact of the
Yeah.
financial gain and
Hmm.
how amazing that is and how important that will be for so many people. But
Yeah.
I think the important thing is the fact that we get that as a company and as a,
Yeah.
and as a employer of the company. It's,
Yeah.
we're so privileged to be in that situation. So I'm looking forward to experience it with so many amazing people
Yeah.
that, a lot of my closest friends now are work friends, etc.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be pretty special by the time it comes around.
Definitely. I think it'll be so nice to all celebrate together because obviously
Yeah.
at the moment we're all working towards this one goal, which makes it a bit different too, because it's not like we're all in competition with each other. Like everyone's win is
Yeah.
everyone's win, which is really
Yeah.
nice and sometimes
Yeah.
unheard of in recruitment companies.
Yeah.
So I think when it does come through, it'll just be so nice to like celebrate with, like you said, we've all got so many friends in the business. So it's not just colleagues, everyone's really, really close. So I think it'll be so
Yeah.
nice to see what everyone goes on to do and what that looks like and everyone's future use coming to light, which I think is really cool. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Greg.
Oh,
That's all of
thank
our
you.
questions. You'll be delighted to know. Definitely feel free to connect with Greg, reach out to him on LinkedIn, um,
Facebook.
Facebook if you want to join his football team. He's recruiting. I'm going to hit you with one last thing, actually. It's
Okay.
also because, like we mentioned, you're looking to grow out the perm team within
Hmm.
our Berlin office. Give us a quick 30-second elevator pitch to why they should join.
Yeah, I think after listening to me talk, hopefully for 40 minutes on how it was a struggle last year, I think,
We covered positives too.
yeah, exactly. I think now we're in a spot where we have had a really good start to the year. We've brought on a lot of clients that we've been working with, bringing on for the last 6 to 12 months, and we're at a point now where we've, I think, started to prove ourselves in the market.
Yeah.
So we're moving in a really good direction. We've working with some amazing companies here in Germany that are doing great things, but we're also at a point now where we are ready to scale in other places as well. So at the moment, we're looking for someone experienced to come in because
Yeah.
I would love them to come in and have their freedom, like I said earlier, where they can choose a path for themselves if they want to. They
Yeah.
can work in specific technologies that they're passionate about, or domains or industries, and we can take on the perm market together. So I think it's a great opportunity for anyone who wants that sort of freedom, right? In a
Yeah.
sense of like what I has,
Yeah.
but we're now supported with, exciting clients, and obviously
Yeah.
Steve and I have finally got it to a place where we're happy with it, and now we're ready to really kickstart it. So
Yeah.
it's a great chance for them.
Definitely. I think as well, it's exciting to come in and be part of something that's still growing. Like you can really have an
Yeah,
impact and bring fresh perspectives. And,
exactly.
you're not going to be one of a big cog. There's how many people are in the Berlin office now?
I think we're 11 now,
Yeah, see, so
12.
yeah,
So
so there's a lot of growth to be happening there in the market and in the office,
exactly.
which is super exciting. Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Greg.
Thank
Next
you.
conversation is going to be back with James talking all things female leadership and West Coast. But until then, give us a follow, ask any questions, reach out to Greg. We'll have adverts up on LinkedIn and website so you can have a look at it from there. And yeah,
Amazing.
perfect. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you so much.